go. Okay, so we're waiting. Petey might make his grand entrance today because he is trying to steal the limelight from Dr. Fuhrman. But if you see him come in or if you hear him, we'll just ignore him. Today, we're taking your questions. For those of you who watch us on YouTube or listen on podcasts, just know that once a month, we have Dr. Fuhrman in the classroom. And today, we're just going to answer your questions. If you are watching us live, you would need to tune in to facebook.com/Lillian's radio show. So today, we're taking on your questions. I'm asking everybody that has a question to put the letter Q in front of it, because many people make comments, but we want to address your questions. So if you have a Q on there, for sure, we'll take a look at it. And if we don't have enough time for the end of the show or the classroom, we will bring the question for the next month that Dr. Fuhrman can answer questions. So fasten your seatbelts. It's time to dance. Everybody dance without, not Dr. Fuhrman, but all of us need to dance, right, Dr. Fuhrman? So fasten your seatbelts. It's time to learn and grow together. Here we go.
The Lillian Mcdermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian Mcdermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian Mcdermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friends. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who have been tuning in to the Lillian Mcdermott radio show /classroom since 2011, or maybe yesterday for the first time, got a glimpse of it, welcome back. But if this is the first time that you're tuning in, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends live on Facebook, first facebook.com/Lillian's radio show, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. So I want to just go on with it and ask you the question, have you had your G-bombs today? One of the questions last month was, what are G-bombs? G-bombs, greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, seeds. These are like the foundation to becoming a Nutritarian. But there's a lot more involved that Dr. Fuhrman always comes on and shares his wisdom, his love, his passion for all of us so that we can start learning how to heal our bodies by giving it what it needs. You would never drive your car with sand in the gas tank and wonder, why is my car not running? Well, the same thing with your body, but even more. Our bodies are perfect. And there's a certain balance that we need to create. And I love Dr. Fuhrman's balance that he creates with the G-bombs. So are you facing a diagnosis? Do you feel sick, can't get out of under how you're feeling? Today, the doctor is in the classroom, Dr. Joel Fuhrman, who has written over 12 books. He has a retreat center in California. There's just so much Dr. Fuhrman is doing. And he comes on into the classroom once a month since 2015 to share his love and knowledge. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Joel Fuhrman is here to do just that. Welcome back, Dr. Fuhrman.
Thank you.
It's always so nice to see you and hear about all the wonderful things that you are doing. And is there anything before we get started that you would like to share with, with all of us about the importance of giving the body the G-bombs?
Well, we have an unprecedented opportunity in human history to live longer and better and than ever before, because even blue zones around the world don't have the knowledge of what particular elements that they're growing are most effective for enhancing lifespan, preventing cancer. Now and each blue zone has its own particular one or two foods that are beneficial, but never has there been an area that scientifically put together the top anti-cancer foods in one diet style that we can do right now across all America. Everyone has this opportunity to be a super blue zoner. A blue zoner is like the areas where people live the longest, 8 to 10 years longer than average Americans do. But we can live 20 years, 25 years longer. We can double the benefits of the blue zone by using everything we know about modern nutritional science and putting it together and make it taste great. It's doable, it's easy, and this is really an advancement in science that is allowing us to be healthier and live protected from dementia and protected from, of course, heart attacks and strokes and cancers. But you know that right now the leading cause of death for people over the age of 65 is heart attacks and strokes. And about 75% of our population over the age of 65 dies of heart attacks and strokes. Because people are always saying heart attacks and strokes are like 40 or 50%. That's because they're considering all ages of death. And younger people die of different diseases. When we're looking at people who've already lived to be 65, it's heart attacks and strokes are overwhelmingly the leading cause of death. And if you're not going to stroke out or have a heart attack, then dementia is another major problem ruining people's lives. And these things are solvable and preventable, and we can win. We don't have to have them happen to us anymore.
Very good. That's a great way to start. For those of you, again, if you have any questions, type in a Q, write your question down. If you're making a statement, we're not going to read it on the air. So the first question comes from Carolyn. She wants to know, and we've discussed this before, so you can go back and watch any of Dr. Fuhrman's show classes in my website at whenyouneedafriend.com. And she wants to know what the difference between pre-diabetes and diabetes in terms of damaging our body. She said, I have read that people with prediabetes have died of heart attacks even before diagnosed. And she's concerned that her fasting blood sugars are between 130 and 140, and that
I'm sorry, let me just tell my family not to make noise.
Okay, you can close the door. You see, this is what happens when there's live television. So let me check out your questions, and thank you so much. Make sure you start sharing. Okay, so Dr. Fuhrman, so her blood sugar at fasting is between 130 and 140, and her A1C clarifies that she is pre-diabetic. She's 5'5" and weighs 210 pounds. Do you think that the term pre-diabetes makes people take it less seriously?
I have a different take on the whole issue and the whole question.
Okay.
Even if she didn't have diabetes or pre-diabetes, even if her blood sugars were below 90, if she weighs 210 pounds, she's already at high risk of cancer and cardiac death.
Yes.
Because of her weight.
And she's 5'5".
So, that's right. There's no such thing as a healthy overweight person. Okay. Fat cells on the body spew out toxic compounds, cytokines, lipokines. They excite aromatase enzyme production, which raises your estrogen level. A person who's that body weight can have 10 times the amount of estrogen stimulation to breast tissue than a person of normal weight, increasing risk of breast cancer. And the fact is that heart disease is predominantly caused by lipid deposits. That's fatty deposits, and you can't have fatty deposits on your abdomen and not be insulin resistant and not have excitation of fatty deposits around your heart. So she's already at high risk without her being pre-diabetic.
Correct.
And then when you add, and what makes a diabetic have a heart attack or become blind or have kidney failure or nerve damage is a buildup of free radicals and a buildup of advanced glycation end products, which build up faster in the pre-diabetic and faster in the diabetic, but you're still building them up when you're not diabetic. What I'm saying right now is that the insulin resistance caused by her excess body weight is causing damage to her body, damage to her blood vessels, before she ever got a diagnosis of even pre-diabetes, because the extra body weight makes you insulin resistant, and the beta cells are forced to oversecrete insulin. And the oversecretion of insulin, which promotes angiogenesis, is permissive to allow cancers to grow in the body, and is also, of course, accelerates the inflammation of the endothelium, which is the lining of the blood vessels. So what I'm saying right now is the damage was occurring from the overweight condition before the diagnosis of prediabetes could have been made. It was already occurring. So it's all a continuum of the more, it's not aging that does this to you, it's aging of the risk factors that does it to you. The time, in other words, how many years did you smoke cigarettes for? And how many packs did you smoke? If you smoke 2 packs a day for 30 years, that's 60 pack years. How many years were you overweight, and how overweight were you? How much salt did you consume? At what level of sodium did you consume, and how many years did you consume that high level of sodium? You know, anything above 1,000 is a risk. So whether you had 2,000 for 20 years, or 3,000 for 20 years, or 4,000 for 20, 30 years, your risks just don't disappear. So this person missed the whole point, because she's focused on this diagnosis of diabetes and prediabetes, and she's focused on her blood sugar, and she's not recognizing that she's living dangerously. And she was living dangerously and causing these diseases to develop in her body way before the diagnosis. Because what happens is the beta cells are oversecreting insulin. Mm-hmm. And the oversecretion of insulin doesn't cause diabetes because you have enough the beta cells have enough insulin reserve to produce a huge amount of insulin to keep the sugars level. And then after years of them working that hard, they poop out, and the sugars start to creep up because the beta cells can't keep up with the demand. The damage doesn't occur right now when the glucose starts to creep up. The damage occurred years ago from the beta cells having to overwork themselves. So this person has to take a serious look at my work, read the book, The End of Diabetes or The End of Dieting, adopt a Nutritarian diet. And what I'm saying right now is you're not a Nutritarian if you're overweight, unless you're dropping at least 2 pounds a week. Yeah. Let me clarify that. If you're overweight, you're very unhealthy. There's no such thing. So the insulin resistance, the aromatase production, the throwing off of free radicals and reactive oxygen species, the spewing out of glycation end products that age us and cause cancer, all those things are happening to overweight people whose weight are stable. But the minute they start losing a kilogram a week, those things start improving even while they're still overweight. So if they're that significantly overweight, they should be modifying their food quality and quantity to be losing at least 2 pounds a week, or they're not following my program.
Yes, and The End of Diabetes is an excellent book, and one that will help you. There's also the 10 and 20 transformation diabetes. Is that how it's called? Which tells you exactly what to eat every day for 20 days or 21 days. Or,
20 days.
And it has pictures and breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that we've done classes on that. So you can look and see Fuhrman, 10-20 transformation. We've done all that. So that could be literature for you, research for you, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. But it was obvious to me that she's new to you, Dr. Fuhrman, and I think it's wonderful that she's curious, because within 2 weeks, she could start reversing the diagnosis. And
within 3 weeks, she will no longer be pre-diabetic. And she'll lose 10 pounds in the first 20 days. That's what most people do. Most people lose 15 pounds the first month at least. So she'll lose 15 pounds in the first 30 days. She won't be pre-diabetic anymore, but that's just the beginning. She's got to keep losing weight till she gets off the extra 100 pounds of body fat. That's the answer. She's got to stay committed to this. And it takes a commitment to stay with it long term, because yo-yoing your weight up and down is dangerous. You have to continue the program after you lose the weight. And that's why, people come to my retreat. They stay there for 2 or 3 months, because we want to make sure they really change their taste buds. They really change their attitude to food. They lose their emotional addictions and their physical addiction. They get training to their emotional eating patterns and emotional overeating. And they leave with the skills to not have the ability to be addicted to food and to have food triggering them to overeat.
Yes.
Now, you can do this on your own. You just have to study, read the books, underline with a marker, really, and make the commitment to follow this. On my website at drfuhrman.com, a person like that should be on the member center, communicating with other people, allowing me to be able to, myself and my medical staff, to communicate with her and follow her and meet and encourage her to reach her milestones. And join the other, thousands of people that have lost 100 pounds and gotten rid of their diabetes.
Very good. Very good. And there is hope. People think that because you have the diabetes diagnosis, it's going to be with you for the rest of your life, but it's not real. That is not true. That's what the pharmaceutical drugs companies would like for us to believe. But with the diet that Dr. Fuhrman is talking about, there's evidence and data, scientific data, to help confirm that this is the step in the right direction, so to speak.
And we're not just improving the blood glucose, we're wiping out the diagnosis of diabetes. What I'm saying right now is don't improve your condition, wipe it out. And that's what makes my program different than other programs. There are other things that are good, will improve your condition and make your blood glucose lower, improve it a little bit, but I'm taking it to the step of excellence to assure people that if they're a type 2 diabetic, they're non-diabetic, because anything less than being non-diabetic is not optimal.
Very good. And so we're going to move on. There's so many different ways to help for people who have diabetes. So we're going to go ahead and continue our conversation. And one of the things that Dr. Fuhrman, many people focus on diagnosis. And I know you and I have talked about for many years, that if there wasn't a pill to kind of squash the symptoms of their diagnosis, which is their body telling them something's wrong, that what would they do differently? And so this is the question. The next question is about celiac disease. And so the question is from Kathy, saying that her daughter may or may not be celiac, and they're doing some breath tests at a celiac center in Colombia. And the doctor may think, he thinks that there's an overgrowth in the small intestine, and eating gluten-free, but it hurts her and makes her sleepy if she eats gluten. So she's having some issues with heartburn, IBS. She takes Nexium, and it worries her, the mother, Kathy, that she's trying to wean her off. She's only 22 years old and a big college athlete, and is in great shape. So she wanted to see
I'm
what...
so sorry, I got the whole picture. Let me just grab Petey. He's making so much noise, annoying me just with constant barking. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So that gives me an opportunity to look down and look at your questions. So Beth, you have a question? Oh yeah, I love, you want a recipe without garlic, dressing without garlic. We'll address that when he comes back. And Robert, I hope you can edit this so that when people are in the, there he is. There's Petey.
Making noise.
Yeah. Okay. So Petey, this is Dr. Fuhrman's Petey, and he loves being on the Lillian Mcdermott radio show / classroom.
In the backyard, and there's nobody here to keep him quiet, so I got to take hold of him.
No, that's your story. My story is that he loves to be in the classroom.
Yeah, hi. Say hi, Petey. Say hi to everybody.
Hey, Petey. Look at that cutie pie. Okay. So with that, let's talk about celiac, because, and IBS and all these symptoms, diabetes, symptoms, but let's talk about solutions.
It's really simple here. It's not complicated. Of course, with celiac, it's very important they completely avoid all wheat and all gluten-containing products. That's the first step. But that doesn't make your diet good, to just avoid all wheat and all gluten-containing products. That's just the first step. Then they have to eat a diet that's really healthy too. So when you combine that with a Nutritarian diet, then you have the gold standard of healing. And so to heal the inflammation caused by this undiagnosed celiac disease from all those years. And the other issue is that not only is Nexium cause heart attacks and is a dangerous medication, but when you take it, it suppresses acid so powerfully that when you try to stop it, you get an acid rebound that causes more symptoms. Mm-hmm. So people often have trouble stopping Nexium. So this person should really rely on healthy eating and not eating close to bedtime. So she never goes to sleep with food in her stomach. Yeah. Always finishes eating 4 hours before bedtime. It's eating small meals later in the day. And of course, using what we're talking, using all these techniques of the probiotics and the fresh vegetable juicing to help heal the gut wall with the cruciferous. We usually give those people the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 juice, which is 1/3 cruciferous greens, which is 1/3 bok choy cabbage or kale, and 1/3 carrot and beet, and 1/3, of course, lettuce and celery. And we give, so with the juicing, with the soups, with the vegetable dishes, she should be eating a vegetable-based diet, gentle on the gut, with the probiotics. And on the Nexium, she shouldn't stop it suddenly. She should probably take the Nexium once she's on a healthy diet for maybe an extra week or so. And then wean down from Nexium to the lowest dose of Nexium onto an H2 blocker, which is weaker than Nexium. So instead of stopping it and getting an acid rebound, go from Nexium to a drug like Pepcid or Zantac that you can buy over the counter, and take that for 4 to 6 days. And then you can cut that down. You maybe take 2 Pepcids morning and night, or 2 Zantacs, and you cut that to 1 for 3 or 4 days, and then stop it. So she gradually gets the acid production to come back and doesn't cut the Nexium cold turkey it. And then she could take a Tums, but she shouldn't be put on these acid blockers.
Yeah.
That's not beneficial long term. She's got to solve the problem with the digestive problem, which is so easy to do, because most people, they just eat a Nutritarian diet, and these acid reflux and all the indigestion just goes away. With that alone, it's rare that somebody has to even do more than that, except for chew the food really well and make sure the salads are chewed to a liquid in your mouth. But some people do have to start without much salad when they first begin, and increase the salads more gradually, because some people don't digest beans well, they don't digest raw vegetables well. So for some people, we have to do that more gradually. But for most people, they can just jump right in as long as they're not overeating. They do this right.
What about chia? Because I've used chia and crushed it and chewed it, and it helps me absorb some of that acid feeling in the past. That's what I've done.
Chia, that's fantastic. Chia is absolutely fantastic. I just had some right before the show. I knew I was probably going to skip dinner tonight because I have another conference I'm teaching after this. So I had a lemon chia pudding, which was really phenomenal. But
do you want to give the recipe of that lemon chia pudding?
Well, all we did was take the chia seeds and half crush them, so mix them in soy milk and whip in one of my lemon bars. I took one of my Dr. Fuhrman lemon bars and whipped it in with the chia seed to give it flavoring. And then I added turmeric to it. So all it really was with turmeric, my Dr. Fuhrman G-Bomb lemon bar, mixed with a bunch of crushed chia seeds and a little soy milk. And I made it like just quickly, because I was in a rush, just threw it in there and fast, and it gelled up and just made the most incredibly delicious stuff.
Yeah, and you could put fruit in there, add some chia, mix it up with some, whatever it is that you want to do. And that chia is what creates the pudding, which is absolutely phenomenal. Okay.
Great, it's phenomenal.
Yes, it is. And it really has so many benefits as well. Okay, so, and it's part of the seeds portion of the G-Bombs.
Yeah, it's full of lignans which prevent breast cancer. It's a powerfully anti-cancer dessert or breakfast,
Yes. Okay. So along with this gluten-free mentality, and there are products that are gluten-free, like Udi's, and they promote the gluten-free look, and people think that because they're not eating white bread, they might be having something better for them. So if they're having all those, I sent you a picture from a listener, a viewer, that was showing me that they were having the bagels and the toast and all that, and they wanted to know if that was better for you than having white bread.
Well, better for you doesn't make it good for you. White bread's better than a donut because it's fried. It doesn't make it good for you. I mean, that bread is okay, but it's not the best. Why eat things it's not good for you to be, because it's too finely ground, and it's not, it's got a lot of things you shouldn't be eating. And don't forget, brown rice is containing arsenic. So brown rice products are completely out. Those are too contaminated for people to eat. So we can't, white rice is too glycemic and brown rice is too contaminated with arsenic. So we're not eating a rice and potato diet here. Those foods are linked to high blood pressure.
What about black rice? Have you done any research on black rice?
Yes, I think I would not recommend it unless you purchased it from a source that you knew. Like, for example, there is some sources where some native Indian tribes are using bamboo shoots to knock down rice paddies into their canoes and things. You can get rice that's not commercially grown, but even black rice that's commercially grown sucks up arsenic from the chicken manure and from the soils. And rice is now too contaminated in the United States and in China, where most of the rice comes from either China or the United States. And it's too contaminated unless you have a source where people can get it uncontaminated. So even the wild rices can be contaminated, but it's much safer just to use quinoa and kamut and millet and teff and amaranth. But quinoa is my favorite grain because it's higher in protein and it's
good substitute for rice.
It's a substitute for rice, yes.
Okay, great. So that's good to know. So for people who are tuning in, maybe this is the first time that you're learning about Dr. Joel Fuhrman. We're talking about the Nutritarian lifestyle, G-bombs, because there were some questions apparently I'm being told.
But the breads, but if you get the bread, the Ezekiel Food for Life bread or the manna breads, they make them from sprouted grains. They don't grind them into a fine flour, so they're not as glycemically unfavorable. There are some brands of bread, so you can make your own. You could take the whole wheat berry, if you're not wheat or celiac sensitive, but you can take the whole berry or the whole seed, start to sprout it. As soon as it starts to sprout, you can coarsely grind it in your Vitamix or your blender, then form it into a loaf and make a bread out of it. So there's certainly ways to make bread healthier. And that's why I eat some bread, but I mostly eat only those two brand names. I eat the manna bread or the Ezekiel Food for Life, one of those two seeded breads and sprouted breads.
Very
that
good.
Are not as high glycemic.
And they're not gluten-free, are they?
I don't have to have gluten-free myself, but I think the brands might make something gluten-free under those sprouted grains. I'm not sure.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's change the subject here. We got Beth who has a question, and she wants to make some dressings without garlic. She doesn't like garlic. So thank you, Beth, for the question.
Well, one of my go-to dressings is I take tomato sauce and I mash in some almond butter with a fork into the tomato sauce, and then I add a little fig vinegar to it. And that's the basic 2-second dressing. I don't have time to make a dressing. I just use tomato sauce. The secret to my dressing is making the tomato sauce good, because I'm using a commercial tomato sauce. It's too watery. It's not even enough concentrated flavor. So I'll take a commercial tomato sauce and I'll cook it on a very low flame, and I'll cook the water out to thicken it. But better yet, I grow tomatoes, I buy organic tomatoes, I keep them frozen in my freezer so I can reclaim a giant bag of tomatoes from my garden, put them in a pot with oregano and mushrooms and basil, whatever it is, and I cook them I partially blend them so that I don't take the seeds out and the skin off. I want the seeds and skin in there. And then I'll cook them for like 10 hours. So my tomato sauce is not like the commercial sauces you buy. It's much thicker and more flavorful, and I could turn it into a dressing in a couple of minutes flat by adding anything I want. I can add garlic nut, or I can add garlic and cashews and hemp seeds to it. I can, but you can do it without garlic. I also use sun-dried tomatoes that have been soaked and chopped in there too. And then I'll put in some nuts, hemp seeds and almonds or something like that, a little vinegar. And if I'm using balsamic vinegar because of the biting bitterness of it, maybe I'll add a little bit of a raisin to it or something and make a dressing like that. But one of my go-to dressings that I use the most too is just to take an orange or a piece of mango or a piece of strawberry, a little bit of fruit with some blood orange vinegar, and I whip that up with little cashews and sesame seeds. So I take some of those sesame seeds and lightly toast them, and take half the toasted sesame seeds and sprinkle them on the salad and half blend into the dressing. Sesame seeds have lignans too that prevent breast cancer, by the way. And usually when I take any dressing that has a nut in it, cashews, pecans, pistachio nuts, I'll take half the nut from the recipe and put hemp seeds in for the other half. I'll remove half the nuts out of the recipe and throw hemp seeds in because hemp
equal
seeds
value.
And they'll balance the omega-3, omega-6 fatty acid ratio. That's correct.
So if I have a cup of cashews that I need for a dressing, I can do half a cup of hemp to
That's correct.
equal?
If you have a cup of cashews for dressing, do half a cup of hemp and half a cup of cashews. Except in my cashew sesame dressing, my orange sesame, I'm going to use the sesame seeds and not the hemp because I have the seeds and nuts, but I'm almost never using the nuts straight. I'm not saying you have to be 50-50 between the high omega-3 and the high omega-6 nuts. but you do want to try to use as much omega-3 as you can, and that's walnuts, hemp seeds, flax seeds, and chia seeds. But so I'll put hemp seeds in almost every recipe to reduce the amount of other nuts that are omega-6 predominant in my recipes.
Yeah. So yesterday I created one. I didn't have any dressing made, and I took an orange and I squeezed the orange into a blender. I added an avocado, added a little bit of balsamic vinaigrette, and I threw in a garlic. So you can add other spices like oregano or parsley, or make it a little bit hot with some pepper or whatever. And but you can just get creative and add some water in it. And so it's amazing how quickly we can turn a dressing, something simple into a dressing. So,
all my books have salad dressing recipes in them. On my website has probably 1,000 salad dressings. They're rated by members, as some of them have 5 stars, 4 stars. And I even sell salad dressing in bottles. When you're too busy to make your own and you want to just grab it off the shelf, you can buy one of my salad dressings in a bottle. And of course, what makes them unique is no oil, no salt, and the fat comes from nuts and seeds, not from oil, which is too fattening and too unhealthy. So it's all natural ingredients, all whole foods, no sugar, no salt, no oil.
That's awesome. Now, one of the things I want to go back to was the fact that you have frozen your tomatoes. I have never frozen a tomato. So you freeze your tomato if you know you're going to put it into a soup?
Or no, to make sauce. Yeah, because I make tomato sauce all year round, and I have 25 plum tomato plants, sauce tomatoes growing out there, and they're all becoming ripe. I can't eat 30 tomatoes a day, so I have enough tomato sauce in my refrigerator right now. But when I went and picked tomatoes yesterday, when I picked 30 tomatoes, they went in a plastic bag and went into the freezer. Because now when I need to make tomato sauce a month from now, I'll just grab a bag out of the freezer and make another pot of tomato sauce where I'm going to cook it down almost all day long.
Sounds great. And so what you do is you wash it and then you cut the stem off? What do you do? Or do you keep it not the stem, the woodsy part, but the kind of like where the stem unites the tomato? Do you just...
I don't cut that off. I use everything.
You use everything.
So it's a plum tomato. I think it's a San Marzano tomato. They're growing terrifically this year, by the way. A huge amount of them. They're kind of solid. They're not too watery, and they freeze terrifically. The whole tomato, I don't cut the stem off. I don't cut anything off. I put the whole tomato in the bag. Half the time I don't even wash it. I mean, it's coming from my plant, and it's not completely organic. I may rinse it off. If they dropped on the floor, I may rinse it off. So maybe the tomatoes are just rinsed. Then they're frozen. Once they come out of the freezer, I'm not washing them again. I'm just putting them in a pot. And mixing. Once they soften a little bit, and I mix them up, blend them a little bit so they're partially blended, and then going to put in a little onion or a little garlic or a little mushroom or a little basil or a little oregano, and let it cook for a long, long time on the lowest flame possible. So it's just bubbling for about 8 to 10 hours, and I'm keeping stirring it occasionally during the day. So I'm getting all the water out of it, so it gets a real thick sauce that's where you concentrate that flavor.
I'm telling you, you're giving me some great ideas. I must have missed that tip. Okay, so last time, many people were talking about keto dieting and fasting, keto and fasting. And so I thought that maybe you can quickly address some of the pros and cons of keto and fasting.
I think the word pro means something good about it.
I'm just trying to be diplomatic, Dr. Fuhrman.
How about just calling it keto deadly or keto death? When you're on a keto diet, you're in acidosis long term, which is keeping the body at a chronic stress, which is lifespan shortening, number one. But number two, when you're eating your diet, when you're carbohydrate restricting, and you're eating so many calories from fat, now you are making yourself more insulin intolerant, insulin resistant. So now you're saturated fat and can distort the insulin receptor. So now you're more insulin resistant. You're insulin resistant because your receptors, and then your fat cells start spewing out more inflammatory compounds as well. So now what happens with these keto people? They keep their sugars down by carbohydrate restricting. And they say, with all Honestly, I can't eat fruit because if I eat fruit, my sugars grow up like crazy. They spike through the roof. Of course, because you're on a keto diet and you've damaged your insulin receptors with the keto diet. So now you can't eat fruit because your sugars go too high. If you were on a diet that was a healthy Nutritarian diet, your insulin receptors would be very sensitized and you wouldn't, and then you would eat fruit without your sugars going up. So they try to control their blood sugar by cutting out all carbohydrates, but they need to cut all out carbohydrates because they damage their body with this keto diet. It's a cancer, and plus the fact that do we have any studies on long-term effects of keto diets? People follow them 20, 30, 40 years. And the answer is yes, we do. We have studies on that. And what does it show? Increased risk of death in people on keto diets. Don't go by short endpoints. A person says their glucose is better controlled, their triglycerides is better, they lost weight. You can, because they're avoiding carbohydrates, look better, but there's too much stress on the body. And any diet where you take fruit out of the diet is going to increase risk of cancer. Any diet when you're looking, there's no foundation. We find that when you take beans out of the diet, higher risk of death. When you take nuts and seeds out of the diet, higher risk of death. When you take fruit out of the diet, higher risk of death. When you take, in other words, all these people trying to make these fad and gimmicky diets, they don't work. We have to eat a diet that follows simple principles. And that means a wide variety of healthy food, a wide variety of healthy plant food. You don't want to limit yourself to just a few kinds of foods. And you can't change the fact that high-fat, low-carbohydrate foods are not high in fiber, and they don't have phytochemicals and anti-cancer, a lot of powerful anti-cancer properties. Only nuts and seeds have phytochemicals and anti-cancer ability, but nuts and seeds as an anti-cancer food is not as strong as eating green vegetables and not as strong as eating squashes and tomatoes and berries and things like that. We need that full spectrum, that full rainbow of colors and phytonutrients from the full plant kingdom to maximize our protection against dementia and, of course, stabilizing telomeres and stem cells for the use after the age of 90 years old to maintain our physical and mental abilities as we age into our later years.
Yes. Okay.
Don't believe it's keto garbage. It's a garbage diet. It's good. It has no long-term studies showing its safety, and it's a little bit neurotic to think that you can do something so radical, take such a risk with your life by doing something so radical, and think you're going to live longer by staying on that diet long-term. And then you have these people on these carnivore diets. They've convinced themselves that they can eat meat with impunity, and they're not going to pay a price. We have these insane diets, and then we have these people recommending diets avoid all beans because scared for the lectins. One of the most longevity promoting foods and the carbohydrate with the most resistant starch, most fiber, most anti-cancer substances, and they're scaring people off eating beans now. Yeah. There's just a lot of nonsensical information out there.
Yes, there is. And so for those of you who are tuning in for the first time and you've never heard of Dr. Fuhrman, we're talking about the Nutritarian lifestyle. And Dr. Fuhrman talks about the different fad diets. I believe it's been a long time, but The End of Dieting is a good book to read if you want to stop dieting and just start making a lifestyle change that will completely transform your life, right, Dr. Fuhrman?
I agree. I have 12 books, but The End of Dieting is the best starter book for a person who's overweight. It's written for that. It deals with food addiction, emotional overeating, how to get off the dieting yo-yo merry-go-round, and it's the great place to start to learn about a Nutritarian diet. That's what I'm recommending as well.
Very good, very good. Now, I want to encourage you because, as you know, the classroom is live because of the generosity of our sponsors. So I want to make sure that we all support our sponsors because they are standing by this information. This is information that you get every day. You see, like we're bombarded with foods that are frankenfoods that are actually causing us to get sick. And then we need the pill to squash the symptoms. And so this is a different kind of program where you get to we all are the student and we all learn together. So please go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. And while you're there, check out my sponsors, sponsors like Liberty Health Share, and that they're going to be on tomorrow, I believe. Liberty Health Share, First Alternative Care. We have Keep Me Safe Organics, and you get percentage off every time you purchase it. Dr. Stephen Grable, who's holistic, alternative, functional medical doctor that is helping people in Jacksonville Beach and the surrounding areas. The pharmacy in Merritt Island, Live Longer Medical in India Atlantic. These are people that have taken a stand and said, we believe in this. We need to get this information out. And so please support them the way that they are supporting the classroom. You can go to whenyounneedafriend.com. Please subscribe. Also subscribe and follow and like social media, YouTube. But there's one more thing that you can do, and there's Petey. What you can do is you can become a student of the classroom. So check out how you too can make sure that this class continues so that we can all learn and grow together. Now, Dr. Fuhrman, apparently you have a huge fan. Barbara Ann believes that you should have your own television show with your family and call it Dining with the Fuhrmans. I think that's what I read earlier. It's been a while. There's lots of questions I want to get to, but she says that you would be very successful. It's better than Dr. Oz. So just a little pat in the back there. Not a question that, let me see if there's anything else.
That could bring up a good point in that
yes.
I have my new PBS television show. I'm very grateful for the opportunity I've had on PBS television. I've been a big supporter of PBS. And my work has brought millions of dollars. I think I raised somewhere between $35 and $40 million with PBS television.
It's amazing.
With one of their big fundraising shows. But PBS I'm filming a new show for the PBS audience on November 2nd. It's not going to air. The show's not going to be on the air till March, the end of February, March. But I'm filming it here in New Jersey at the Raritan Community College Theater. And I want everybody to come. I have, this theater can hold like 800 people. Wow. I'm filling the theater with people who are Nutritarians, who've lost weight, who succeeded and maybe reversed their diseases. And because this is the first time PBS, because of a turnover in executives of running PBS, whatever it is, they used to not allow me to bring live success stories on the stage. I could just show a picture of one. But now I can bring the people, and people who've like heard my show on PBS and lost 100 pounds, or gotten rid of their diabetes, or gotten rid of their cancer, or gotten rid of their their autoimmune conditions, or gotten rid of their autoimmune hepatitis, or gotten rid of their psoriasis. I'm going to have all these people coming up on the stage, and I'm going to be having them be part of the show with me. I'm going to walking through the audience and asking how many people lost 50 pounds, how many, And so we're doing a show that's going to be a tremendous fun show, very informative, a lot of fun, and involving the audience as well. I'm filming it on November 2nd. I'm inviting people to drive in, fly in, and come to be part of the audience for this show on November 2nd. And then once PBS starts showing that show in March, they might show it 1,000 times. Somebody from PBS once told me that my shows have been shown so many times in the middle of the night, at 3 in the morning, and it's, that I've been on television more hours than Oprah has.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah, because as long as they're making some money, they keep showing the show over again. So it's cool. It's great.
Yes.
But in any case, I'm really excited about this. I have a new book coming out. The new book is featured in the show, and the new book will be released in about February, March when the show is released. And people come and get a little goodie bag of value, so they can go to drfuhrman.com where it says retreats, because we put the events behind the retreat button. Hit the retreats and you'll see the events, and you'll see the event called the PBS filming, and you can click on that to get information how you could be part of the audience for that day on November 2nd.
Yeah, I plan on holding Dr. Fuhrman's mic so that he doesn't have to.
Are you really going to come on November 2nd?
I really do want to come. As soon as we're done with this program, I'm going to check it out and see if I can make it work in New Jersey, because it's a Saturday. It's probably going to happen. So I'm going to check out the fairs and all of that. Oh, you did not talk about how are you going to select some of the people that you're going to help reward get there?
I've already selected those, and that's just because I've had to seek out the people who I wanted to be on the air during the show filming. Mm-hmm. And so if there's a great case, they can submit their case and call us up and say, I've lost 50 pounds, I've gotten rid of my psoriasis, or I've gotten my headaches are gone, and my kidney functions improved, and we can consider including them in the bunch. But I've already, I think I have enough people who have fit that criteria, having fantastic success stories to utilize in the show, and they're such fantastic success stories that people's going to be wowed. It's, you know, the show's going to be called Food as Medicine, and just how it's done to change these people's lives is just going to be really open people's eyes up to a new way of healing and thinking.
Speaking of which, Dr. Fuhrman, I didn't tell you this off the air, but Emily Baller, she's going to be in the classroom tomorrow. She had reached out to me, and
Emily's coming for sure to the November 2nd. She's going to be one of the people I have on the air.
Very good.
On the show. She always supports me with that because she lost 100 pounds.
Yeah.
I think 10 years ago, more than about 9 years ago or 10 years ago, kept it off. And, you know, a great motivator and encouragement to others.
Well, she'll be in the classroom tomorrow sharing her story of perseverance and growth. So go to drfuhrman.com. You can also go to whenyouneedafriend.com, and Dr. Fuhrman is in the Shop Now section, and it goes straight to his website as well. And of course, there's the retreat. And one of the questions that was asked last time, and it was from Camilla, and it wasn't really a question. I think she was just saying that she's busy raising a family, volunteering, and all doing something that keeps them from taking care of themselves. Dr. Fuhrman, you're really busy. You're always so busy, and that's why I'm so happy that when you are in the classroom. What do you do? What are some of the tips that you can share with people that want to live a lifestyle that's healthy, but also need to focus on self-care?
Right. They've got to come up with a business plan that's going to work for them. They can't, so it has to be written down, and they have to write out their schedule for the week and figure out, you know, for example, can I get home from work one day early a week to be able to shop and cook? So like on Wednesdays, I can make the food for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then you cook on the weekend and make a giant pot of soup. But in your schedule, you plan when you shop and when you cook and prepare the foods for the week, and when you do your exercise. Maybe you exercise during work, you know, during lunch hour on this day, and maybe you come on a Sunday, you do this type of exercise. But keep in mind that I want people to exercise about, you know, 15 to 20 times a week. 15 to 20 times a week. So they're interspersing exercise throughout their whole day. They take 5-minute breaks. They do a few flights of stairs. They take a 5-minute break. They stand up and sit down in their chair 30 times in a row. They take a 5-minute break, and they do some sidestepping, step out to the side, step in back, step out to the side, step in front. In other words, incorporate exercise as part of your day, so you don't have to necessarily fit in a gym for an hour and a half. But maybe on, you know, one morning a week or one day on the weekend, you can do a little more formal exercise with equipment and do more body parts. But you don't have to do that frequently, because you're already incorporating exercises when you have a few minutes here and there. It's planned into your day. But that all should be planned out in your business plan. If you want to succeed in anything, you've got to plan in advance. And that means plan the recipes you're going to eat, plan what you're going to shop, plan what you're going to cook. So spend some time, take a few hours, and write out your plan, when you're going to exercise, when you're going to go to sleep at night. Put in your family time, your recreational time, your exercise time, your cooking time, your shopping time, and, you know, and see if you can maybe adjust your work schedule so you can take a little bit of time away from that work schedule to put to some other things that are so important: family time, exercise time, meditation, cooking, shopping. So it's really, you know, not great when people are working 40, 50 hours a week, and then they have an hour commute each way going back and forth, and they utilize so much of their time just getting to work, getting home from work, and how much they're working. So we really try to, you know, make maybe one day a week or one afternoon you can work from home or something. So we're trying to look at people's lives and moderate them so they can make more sense for them.
Yeah, those are great tips. And many of us spend a lot of time watching television, and you can get a rebound while you're watching television, or get a little bike, or, you know, so there's a lot of wasted time that we have. And if we're really true to ourselves, we realize that we can make the time if it's a priority. So Dr. Fuhrman, Jazzy wants to know about BMI. And if that is important, should you look at the BMI? Should you follow? What is the proper BMI?
The U.S. government considers people overweight with a BMI above 25. I think that's utterly ridiculous. There's no long-lived people with BMIs of 24 and 25. It's still too heavy. Your BMI should be below 23 to be healthy. And probably for a woman, most women's BMI should be below 22. So I think that that obviously, most people are way overweight, and to be normal, you should be thinner than you think. Think back to what the average woman in America, 70 years ago weighed 120 pounds. Now the average woman weighs 160 pounds. A 5'5" person should weigh somewhere between 105 and 115 pounds, likely, most likely. So people weigh way too much, and fat on the body is disease causing. And the problem is that most people that are thin in America are so sickly because the 11% that have a favorable BMI, most of them smoke cigarettes or alcoholics, use drugs, or are sick with some medical condition keeping them thinner, or have occult cancers or digestive disorders or autoimmune conditions. So the people that are normal weight are mostly sick people. Because if they were normal, they would be overweight eating American food. They should be, if they had a normal health, they should be overweight. So it's only about 2.5% of the population is a healthy weight in America because they exercise and eat right.
Very good. Very good.
Small amount of people.
So, Dr. Fuhrman, I just want people to know that if you want to be a part of Dr. Fuhrman's PBS broadcasts, you need to register. There's a $10 charge. That way you're committed. Your spot is safe for you. And you can go to drfuhrman.com and start there. And there's also the retreat. So if you want to really give yourself a wonderful education of how to reprogram your body, going to the center, the retreat center in California, it would be great. So yeah. Eat to Live, the Eat to Live Retreat Center. That's another place. Would you like to share anything about the retreat center?
Yes, but keep in mind, we're charging $10 to come to the filming. We're giving them like a $40 or
$50 gift. Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, we not really want to charge, but we have to because otherwise people just put their name down. They don't show up, and we got to make sure that the people that say they're coming are really going to come. So it's going to be. But in any case, yes, my Eat to Live retreat in San Diego has given me a tremendous opportunity to help people I couldn't help before, because so many people are so addicted to their diet and have such trouble making the change, and they're sick and they have medical conditions and they need to be monitored and have drugs weaned off, like they're diabetic or have chest pains or whatever it is, or they're food addicts or they have an autoimmune condition. But the retreat enables me to take them under my wing, to take care of them myself, to have my staff, my food addictions counselors, the psychiatrist, the psychologist, and my nurse and my chefs with the best food and the best soil in the world. And the best soil in the world makes a difference. It's amazing how people's mental clarity and their ability to love the food. So people learn how to love doing this, and I can make sure I can get the health transformations I couldn't get for some people who can't do this on their own. There's just some people who can't do this on their own. They have to go somewhere. And I wanted to have a place where where if you were really sick and you had to get well, you can go there, you can get well, you can transform your life.
Very good.
It's so incredibly exciting to see these health transformations.
Yes, and when you call them, let them know that you saw Dr. Fuhrman on the Lillian Mcdermott classroom. So as we're wrapping up here, and I have two more questions that I want to look at. Barbara wants to know, how long does it take for someone to get through the cravings once they get started eating in this new lifestyle, the Nutritarian lifestyle?
The first week is the worst. Clearly, that's the worst. It gets easier after that. You're still not through with your emotional addiction to foods for a couple of months. That's why I encourage 3 months of really very strict abstinence, because it's just like staying away from cocaine or alcohol. Your brain takes time to reset its receptors. And it's very important that you're in a safe environment and you have emotional support and you stay with the program strictly. Every day that you do this 100%, it gets easier and easier. And those foods and triggers and addictive substances calling your name become more distant voices and become less and less with each day that you do this in a row. So it's all about linking together, consistency in the first 100 days of doing this.
Yes. Okay. And the next question is from Terry, and he would like to know what a typical Dr. Fuhrman breakfast would look like.
I usually, there's a cereal called Familia. It's like in a green box. It's like not sweet. I'll either have a little bit of that or a little bit of steel cut oats or quinoa in a bowl. And I'm talking about a little bit, like like a half a cup. I don't put that much in, or a cup. But then I put a lot of berries on top. I put a heaping tablespoon of hemp seeds. I put a heaping tablespoon of flax seeds on top. I'll put some, I'll chop in something else in there. I'll put in some, I'll take a fruit off my tree outside. Now I have pawpaws growing on my trees. I had peaches, 2 weeks ago. So I'll take some kind of fresh strawberries or fresh fruit, and I'll mix that in. I maybe have some chia pudding. So basically, and sometimes this morning, for example, I had a green smoothie that my wife made. There was kale and spinach and lettuce in there with a little bit of, what does she have in there? So whatever's available. It's some kind of mixture of seeds, nuts, and a little bit of grain is my breakfast. But I'm trying. Today I ate mostly when I came back from playing tennis. I didn't eat before I went to play tennis. I played tennis from 8 to 10 today. I didn't get home and eat breakfast till 10:30. Then I ate a later lunch, which was I had a big salad and raw peas and a giant salad with arugula sprouts and lettuce and mixed baby greens and a little avocado. And I had a little bit of slices of dehydrated tofu. I took tofu and I sliced it and put the tomato sauce on top. And I dehydrated for about 15 hours. And I had some slivers of these tofu jerky. It was like eating a beef jerky, hard to chew. And Petey loves those. He loves that. Give him a little, because dogs love something hard to chew on. And I like something hard to chew on too. So instead of me chewing on dog bones, lamb chops, I made a little tofu chop for myself, a little hard bone to chew on after lunch today.
You're too funny, Dr. Fuhrman. And Dr. Fuhrman's books are full of some of his humor. They're pretty good cartoons that will make you laugh out loud as well. So I am trying to see if we're going to be getting some extra time because of some of the different distractions. But I don't know, Robert, are you going to give me more time? So yes. Okay, I'm getting more time. Yay. So Cersei wants to know if you can give any tips on transitioning with kids, and you've got a book for that too, who are picky eaters.
Right. The steps involve having family meetings, reviewing what's being learned, reading passages to them, discussing how that love means you protect your child's future, and that most people don't protect their children, and that's why people develop serious illnesses. So the first thing, even a young child could understand, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old could understand that love means what would you do if you were the parent and you loved your child so much and you knew that sharing this information, having family meetings, and putting together some family rules or set by the whole family as a family unit. The children chip in. How can we get the kids to help the parents eat better? To sit down and have a meeting. I want to eat better. I want to stop eating desserts. I'm going to stop using sugar and oil in my house. I'm going to get rid of the salt. How can my children, it's going to hurt my health in my life. How can you guys, my kids, help me stay better with this diet and don't let me cheat? That's the first step, is enlist the kids to help you eat better and to be your to be your
accountability partner.
Yeah, because that's the first step. They love to give them responsibility to help you eat, to help you quit. The kids help you quit smoking. The kids help you exercise. They help you stay on your program. And then they'll learn more and more about why you're doing this, how it'll be good for them. And then you work as a family to go through and pick Dr. Fuhrman desserts and recipes that everybody could love, how you can make health. This is fun to do as a family together with people that love each other. Yes. And kids aren't picky eaters once any animal or any person is going to be a picky eater once you allow them to have those foods, because they're frankenfoods designed to make people want to eat them instead to hijack your taste. Mm-hmm. We're talking about making your home a healthy haven, a protected space where there's no unhealthy substances enter the home. That's the most important thing.
Yes, and there might be some challenges, but at the same time, if you have a young child, that's the best time to start, because they're going to love, the recipes. All your recipes are wonderful.
Yes, this is an opportunity for people to work together as a family to make these great tasting recipes and to make their house a safe place. We don't want cocaine in the house. We don't want cigarettes in the house. We don't want alcohol in the house. We don't want loaded guns in the house. And we don't want donuts, sugar, honey, maple syrup, and other salt, oils, and other dangerous foods that lead to death in the house.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that when you bring this into your home, and you try to make your house a safe haven, then you go out to a party and you go out to a gathering, a family gathering or a restaurant, and all you get is the peer pressure to eat just like them. So there's got to be a commitment that you make within yourself that you're going to love yourself no matter what anybody else says. And there's going to be ridicule. And so, setting your children up for success and bringing them what they need at these places, it will ensure that you don't have to deal with it later on in life. So, Dr. Fuhrman, you are just absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. I know that maybe we have one more question left that I'm going to do after the podcast. If you want to be a part of the live podcast, go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber, and you'll find out when it is that Dr. Fuhrman is in the house at Lillian's radio show on Facebook. Thank you, Dr. Fuhrman. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian Mcdermott and Dr. Fuhrman wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian Mcdermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, Dr. Fuhrman, I know that you're busy, and I've got like one question. I know I have to give Barbara Ann some props here. She's calling you Rabbi Fuhrman. You need to check out her comments. They're pretty cute, and at the same time, she really wants you to be on television during your own program. So thank you, Barbara, for all your comments and support of Dr. Fuhrman. So George asked the question, and I think that this is going to be helpful to all of us. There are a lot of things that come in the market and go as well. One of them, and I've learned about this, is called lion's mane, which is a mushroom. And so he's been told that it's the best thing for memory and cognitive issues. What's your take on lion's mane?
My take is that people should eat a variety of mushrooms, and a broad variety. Each mushroom has certain properties. Oyster mushrooms are very powerful in ergothioneine. Plain white button and portobello are high in the angiogenesis inhibitors that prevent breast cancer. So there's not one magic food that's that the body works best when it gets a lot of different phytochemicals that have protective effects. So if you think lion's mane is great, then eat some, but also eat the other mushrooms too. And that's why I also have a mixed mushroom supplement that gives people exposure to a broad number of mushroom extracts, because we don't get that in our diet enough.
Okay, I know you've talked about your mixed mushrooms. Is there a benefit to having it? Because you don't want this to be raw, do you? You want mushrooms to be cooked. Is that all mushrooms or just?
Yes, we should wash and cook your mushrooms in stews and soups and woks, water-based cooking. And then the dried mushroom powders you eat, or the dehydrated mushrooms you eat, don't have to be cooked, because the dehydration and drying process gets rid of enough of the agarotine.
Very good. So if we had the dry mushrooms, like you have it in a capsule, or is it just dried mushrooms?
Capsule.
Okay, so
mushroom tea as well that people can take.
Oh, okay. So can you take the mushroom capsule and put it in your stew if you wanted to?
Sure. But I still want people to use fresh, real mushrooms from the store as well. I want them to have nutritional variety.
Okay, very good. And so, Dr. Fuhrman, I want to talk again about your special date, November 2nd. I'm going to check out my flight reservation November 2nd, because I don't know if you need papers shuffled or anything like that. I'll be there for you. But November 2nd in New Jersey. What is the location again?
It's the Raritan Community College. They have a big theater there that seats 900 people. Mm-hmm. And we're starting to open the doors, I think, at 3:30, starting filming at 4 o'clock.
And how long is the filming?
Well, we probably have to shoot the show more than once and repeat some parts of the show, and there's going to be some flub-ups with people we're interviewing. So we're probably going to be filming from 4 until 7, I would think, or 4 until 7:30.
That's great. That's really good. And the way you do things, you'll probably go through it right away. So you could you can find it is you go to drfuhrman.com, or you can go to whenyounneedafriend.com and check out Dr. Fuhrman's um, um, icon. But you can go to drfuhrman.com, click on retreats, and sign up. There's a $10 cost, but you're going to get a $40 to $50 goodie bag. Is that your new book going to be in there too?
I don't know. It depends whether the book manufacturer is going to give us 500 books. I'm hoping, I'm hoping the book could be in there too, but I don't know yet.
Can you give us a
Oh,
little?
no, it can't be the book. It can't be the book in there because we're filming in November and the book doesn't come out till March.
That's
So I
right.
can't give people, the book isn't made yet. You know what I mean?
A rain check book.
Yeah.
A rain check book. So what I got from this today is that we all want to be blue Nutritarians. How about that? Blue Nutritarians. Instead of blue zones, we can have blue Nutritarian zones. And there's also, before we go, Dr. Fuhrman, I want you to share if people want to be a part of your Nutritarian research for breast cancer, if you'd like to share a little bit about that.
Right. Well, the Nutritional Research Foundation at the website, nutritionalresearch.org, women can sign up to be part of the study to show that enhanced lifespan, reduced risk of cancer and dementia by following a Nutritarian program and having their future health monitored by the research team at Northern Arizona University, who's going to track and then publish data on this Nutritarian cohort. So yes, so I'd love for people to join that, but also support that because frankly, we're having trouble paying for it because we don't have enough financial support to do all the things we want to do with that study and keep it going. So it's been a little bit troubling this year of getting the financial support we've needed for it. But women can either join as a participant, or people can just want to help support the study continue to go, and by financially supporting it at nutritionalresearch.org.
Perhaps maybe we can talk about that even more next month when you come back, because it's so important that we be part of the solution as opposed to buy into the hype that we have to get cancer, we have to get diabetes, we have to get sick. We can be more about prevention so that we don't have to take that pill. And as you know, my registered service mark is you can take a pill or you can take responsibility. And so taking ownership for our life is so important. Well, Dr. Fuhrman, I know that it's time to go. And I want to thank all of you for watching today. Please share this with your friends, family, like us, follow us, and let this message be heard all over, even if the televisions, so grateful for PBS. Even if televisions are promoting fatty frankenfoods, at least you have some ammunition to help people make informed choice. So thank you. Until next time, until we meet again, Dr. Fuhrman, thank you, and I hope you're well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, everybody. Bye-bye.
Okay. Stop the live stream, and I'm stopping.